For the last 2 decades, U.S. forces have enjoyed an asymmetric advantage over enemy forces due to quality personnel, superior technology, greater logistics capabilities, unchallenged air superiority, uncontested sea control, and an unfettered ability to command and control. However, our current and future adversaries have been challenging or erasing our advantage. The Marine Corps Operating Concept, or MOC, is the starting point to address this problem by reaffirming the primacy of maneuver warfare and combined arms for the 21st century, and identifying the critical tasks to develop the future force. Its purpose is to describe how the Marine Corps will operate, fight, and win in 2025 and beyond, and to shape our actions as we design and develop the capabilities and capacity of the future force. Through a combined arms approach that embraces information warfare as indispensable, it achieves complementary effects as it executes maneuver warfare across all domains. The Marine Corps is embarked upon a significant transition, turning the corner from more than a decade of continuous war in Iraq and Afghanistan to focus our attention on the threats and opportunities that will define the future character of war and the means we will need to prevail. Fighting at sea, from the sea and ashore, it operates as an integrated part of the naval force and the larger combined joint force. Our preparation for the inevitable conflicts of the future begins with this operating concept. It charts how we will transform ourselves to deter and defeat the threats of tomorrow, and will look something like this. The following vignettes, based on a fictional scenario in 2025 in a notional area of operations, illustrate many of the key concepts found in the MOC. The MU was about halfway through a deployment conducting theater security cooperation missions. Mobile training teams were on the ground with local defense forces instructing and demonstrating basic tactics. At the same time, they were gaining insights on local culture and politics and feeding this information back to Intel for inputting into deep learning, predictive analysis decision support tools that could be used for future operations. Assessment of the environment identified a growing threat in the region, with designs on overthrowing the local government. As the situation deteriorated, the MITs pulled back to the ships, and the MU began planning for their next mission. During this time, a hostile hybrid force with advanced weapons and ISR overthrew the local government, posing an immediate threat to the sea line of communication. The ARG-MU was tasked to secure an expeditionary forward position on an island inside the enemy's threat ring. Sensors and decoys had been left in key locations to prep the environment for future conflict. The intent was to establish a sensor line to get a better read on signatures and movements, deny the enemy's ability to maneuver in the littoral, and strike targets deep inland. It helped that the island had a decent patch of paved road to use to arm and refuel aircraft. Unmanned underwater vehicles conducted hydrographic survey and identified potential landing areas, while unmanned aircraft surveyed the entire area looking for threats and opportunity. A deception drew attention to alternate islands to confound the enemy. Low-signature unmanned undersea and surface vehicles conducted multi-domain reconnaissance in the days prior, providing critical details on the tides and beach area. A local intranet, ComNet, was established using a UAS to ensure comms throughout the operations, as it was certain the enemy would attack in the cyber domain. A rifle company raid came in from over the horizon on a zero-illumination night with small boats and fighting connectors. Additional unmanned swarming boats provided flank security for the raid force and served as launch platforms for small UAS. It was a high-risk windward side landing with poor beaches and multiple breakers, but an unmanned undersea swarm equipped with relative navigation and beacons guided the company to the landing site in spite of the conditions and degraded GPS. Once ashore, rough terrain and degraded GPS challenged the platoon's maneuver to the objective area. However, basic skills in night-land navigation with map and compass enabled the platoons to get into position before dawn. Working from F-35 ISR feeds, the support by fire positions suppressed enemy targets, while kinetic, swarming unmanned aircraft systems launched from the loitering unmanned boats provided additional support. At the same time, the maneuver element, supported with electric-powered vehicles, isolated the area and used unmanned systems to maneuver through the complex to secure the objective. By mid-morning, the Expeditionary Forward Operating Site was established and ISR, strike, and air operations were underway. Employing the forward expeditionary capabilities from an expeditionary advanced base, along with the float forces, enabled the naval force to prep the environment, take the initiative from the enemy, and set conditions for entry operations. As additional forces closed into the operating area, a deliberate assault was planned to defeat the hybrid force, which had occupied a littoral urban area. The plan called for 2 task forces to assault vertically, while 2 other battalion task forces assaulted on the surface with small boats, fighting long-range, high-capacity connectors and armored vehicles. Once again, unmanned systems paved the way, conducting beach and deep reconnaissance, while the MAGTAF dynamically tasked and retasked the available unmanned and manned ISR capabilities. Unmanned amphibious vehicles and small boats provided launch platforms for fires and obstacle and mine breaching. Units coming across the beach used numerous small landing sites and emphasized speed and dispersion, finding gaps in the enemy defenses. They did have to contend with hasty mines and hasty obstacles, but used their unmanned assault vehicles equipped with breaching capabilities, like UAS with explosive charges, were employed to detect and overcome the obstructions. Units coming by air use multiple LZs versus a single large one, inserting away from the actual objectives to disguise their intent and present a tougher targeting problem for massed enemy fires. As these multiple small units began maneuvering, the networking and common situational awareness provided by next-generation handheld radios and tablets ensured leaders were able to maintain tempo in this fluid environment. Each battalion was given a sector in a densely populated area and tasked to defeat the enemy and support local forces, rooting out hybrid proxy forces intermingled with the locals. Auto-recognition sensors on various platforms received cueing from and then fed back into the same intelligence decision support systems, providing assistance in predicting where the enemy was likely to appear and then helping to distinguish them from the population. The smaller units not only had more organic combined arms capabilities like Group 1 UAS munitions, EW, and ISR, they also had the connectivity to reach out for almost every capability in the joint force. And more importantly, they had already trained with it. The squad leaders and platoon commanders employed assets and capabilities that only a few years ago resided only at battalion, regiment, and brigade levels. Utilizing real-time ISR, an expeditionary command and control network, and precision fires provided an effective way to engage the enemy kinetically in a complex urban environment. Small UASs with custom 3D printed warheads provided lethal effects, but explosive yields appropriate for the urban environment. However, non-lethal capabilities are absolutely critical for certain situations, like controlling and moving crowds without escalating hostilities. On the non-kinetic side, you have to sense and make sense of social media patterns while fighting the constant battle for the narrative. The MOC guides are collective efforts to ensure the Marine Corps' future readiness and relevancy. The Marine Corps must be a tailorable, flexible, and versatile force, capable of responding to any crisis across the full range of military operations. The Marine Corps must be a coherent and fully integrated naval force that can contribute to deterrence, provide maritime security, perform sea control, and project power ashore to impose our will upon adversaries. We must be an expeditionary force that is trained and equipped and able to operate in austere conditions and hostile environments. We must be an agile force that can navigate the physical and cognitive dimensions of complex situations and seize the initiative. We must be a lethal force with a 21st century approach to combined arms that integrates information warfare and seeks to destroy and defeat our enemies across 5 domains. Through this approach, the Marine Corps will be able to adapt, innovate, and overcome a rapidly changing and chaotic security environment.